They've got very sticky fingers, this government. They want to come after your money.
Now they seem to be making jokes about it, calling it a honeypot.
No wonder people are starting to get very angry at Mr Albanese.
And a weekend comment from the Treasurer seemingly confirming the fears of well-off retirees.
We do need to consider whether we can afford the degree of tax concessionality for people who've got very big balances.
Fearing an opposition attack campaign, the PM is sticking to the nothing to see here approach.
We promised no big changes and there won't be major changes to super.
I do want to be clear, though, about what you did say before the election.
We've said we have no intention of making any super changes.
That's not just big changes, not just major changes, just you said there won't be any changes.
No, I said we had no intention and we certainly... That's not the objective here.
But while the PM's words are confusing, the Treasurer's intentions are clear, signalling $3 million as the cut-off point for tax breaks on super.
The reason why people are focused on that $3 million figure is because of the example that I gave, which is less than 1% of people have got more than $3 million in their superannuation.
That'd affect roughly 36,000 people and add about $1 billion a year to the budget bottom line.
Applying a higher tax rate on super balances of more than $3 million would raise substantial revenues for the government, and they would improve the fairness of the superannuation system because they would mean that other, poorer, often younger taxpayers are not contributing extra money to top up the super accounts of some of Australia's wealthiest.
Tax reform is never popular, and the PM has seen firsthand the risk of reneging on a promise.
There will be no carbon tax under the government I lead.
The introduction of a carbon price 2 years later, not quite a tax but close enough, marked the beginning of the end for the last Labor government.
The carbon tax is a bad tax.
Much like Tony Abbott in 2012, Peter Dutton smells blood.
Australians should be very worried because you work hard, it's your money that you put into superannuation to provide for your retirement, and you put it in there based on a set of rules, and Labor's now changing those rules.
So with the PM saying there'll be no change and the Treasurer suggesting there should be, and the opposition warning neither can be trusted, who do we believe?
The word there is trust. I mean, trust is a great political asset. You need trust and you need the people to trust you. And I think what we saw with Hamish and the Prime Minister last night and the changing, tricky language that we've seen over the last couple of weeks, can you trust what they're going to do going forward? And I think that's the problem they have in this whole discussion.
But don't we want our governments to be nimble and to be able to move with the times?
We want them to tell the truth.
Well, he told the truth at the time, but now...
Well, he said there'd be no changes, and now there will be. He was elected. He has no mandate from the people to do this.
But the problem is, though, you've got 1% of Australians claiming these tax concessions. You've got lots of other Australians
They're only claiming those tax concessions because they're legal, and that's the way the system was set up. Now, if you want to change it, OK, have the discussion. But if they really want to attack the debt problem, which is what this is all about, you have the guts then to change the GST and put it up by 5%.
I reckon there's two problems for the government on this. One is they can, you're right, changing circumstances should mean a change in policy, but there aren't changing circumstances on this issue. And in fact, if there are changing circumstances, they're only working against this because the deficit that was massive is actually coming in consistently smaller than we expected because of commodity prices, things like that. So that's not a change in circumstances that helps them. And the other problem I see for them is they ran so hard on integrity. They ran so hard on Morrison being someone you couldn't believe, etc. And when you bake your cake with that, that comes back to haunt you if you violate.
Don't you think, though, 99% of Australians who aren't in that 1%, there's 36,000 Australians are going, we don't care about honesty, we just want fairness. And it's pretty unfair that these people at the top of the tree...
No, it's unfair to change something that has been set up that way.
I think tax minimisation, it's not saving for super anymore.
No one's breaking any laws here.
No, but the idea is whether the policy is a good point. I agree with your point in that I actually think the policy is sound. The problem is I do think people care about the broken promise element. And if they didn't, if it was like, this is so popular, everyone will love it, then say it. Say it before an election and you should be fine.
I come back to the keyword of trust. This time last week, we were talking about 5 million. By the middle of the week, when I spoke to you guys Thursday, it was 3. Yeah. The Grattan Institute today said 2.
They're not the government, though. We should be careful on that.
I know, but, I mean, who's to say that, in a year's time, they lower that again?
Yeah, but that's a slippery slope argument, right?
Yes.
You can look at this and say, well, this is sound policy. I just think the problem is they probably need to take it to an election. They want to do it.
Well, did you enjoy my input there, guys? That was, that really added a lot to that conversation.
Are you the one Australian that has $500 million
yes, that is correct,
super?
Sarah. I have $500 million in super.
Let's protect your super.
You are dressed like the guy with the luxury yacht. So
exactly.